It starts like so many evenings before. The kids are finally in bed, the dishwasher hums in the background, and the glow of the phone screen cuts through the quiet. $187 at Target? He asks. She looks up from the couch. Yeah, just a few things we needed. He scrolls again. In the grocery store? Another $300? Did we need all that? She exhales. We need to eat. It's not that big of a deal. But it is, because it's not about the money, it's about the pattern in this relationship. This isn't the first time they've had this argument, and the problem isn't the credit card balance, it's the lack of communication, the erosion of trust, and the feeling that they're no longer rowing in the same direction. Over time, what started as small, quiet tensions about spending can turn into bitterness, resentment, and silence. It's easy to think it's just about budgets and bills, but in marriage, money is almost never the root issue. It's about trust, it's about priorities. It's about whether you and your spouse are truly living as one, even in your finances. Because the truth is, your financial life will either draw you together or slowly pull you apart. Today, we're going to talk about how to build unity instead of conflict in your marriage, and how to handle money in a way that strengthens trust, deepens love, and sets your family on a path to peace and prosperity. Welcome to Plan to Prosper, where we exist to honor God by equipping faithful servants to steward their finances wisely and build wealth that endures for generations. All right, Logan, back for another episode of Plan to Prosper, and we're going to be talking about marriage.
Sounds good. We're both married, so...
We're experts, you could say.
Something like that. How long have you been married?
We just celebrated our 5th anniversary.
Oh, expert. Get out of here.
How long have you been married?
13 years.
That is impressive. It's a long time.
Other than the fact that I just had to think about it.
That's okay. I feel like as the years go on, even as we were talking about the age difference between you and me, I have an easier time these days thinking about my age in terms of the year that I graduated high school than I do the actual number, because somebody asked me how old I am. It takes me a couple extra seconds to think about it. When you were little, your age is a big deal. As you get older, you begin to get a little bit more depressed about it, so you don't keep as close a track on it.
I just did the math in my head. Married in 2012, it's 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it easy. We were married in 2020, so it's an easier to track the years. We're in 2025 now. Boom, 5 years. So,
What you were fall, right?
Yeah, September.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, got married during the pandemic. We're able to, through some clever finagling, we're able to have a pretty big wedding and didn't really need to wear masks at the time, which we were pretty excited about because we didn't want to have our big day full of our pictures with people in the background all masked up. We wanted it to look like a normal wedding. And, by God's grace, we were able to do that. It was nice.
Did you agree on all the financial stuff with the wedding?
Yeah, thankfully, her parents were really generous in wanting to help provide a nice wedding. My wife, she's been dreaming about this since she was a little girl. She loves the Disney princess thing, so she really wanted a nice wedding, and her parents were really generous in providing that for her and for us. It was a great gift. So
nice. We
had a really nice wedding. People to this day still say it's one of the better weddings they've been to, if not the best wedding they've been to, and we're happy to have been able to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about money in marriage because we've talked about this before, but it's a big issue that leads to a lot of the divorces that we see in our country. This happen. Financial issues are often at the core of those marital fractures.
Yeah, which I guess is surprising, but at the same time, maybe not surprising. Based on, I feel like the cold open story, you could be a little relatable. So just kind of how to work through that.
Yeah, there's a study that says financial problems are cited as a major contributor in about 36, almost 37% of divorces. I'm actually surprised that number's that low.
I was surprised too. I
was under the impression it was a lot more than that. But if you're married, I'm sure you've experienced at least some level of, I don't know if tension's even the right word, but it makes sense to me that would be an issue in marriages, especially when there's different dynamics at play. You each grew up in different environments. Your parents were probably different with money, each of them. So you each come into your marriage already as grown adults, full of experiences so far, and not necessarily being on the same page from day one can be an issue that continues to grow if you don't fix it.
Yeah, and one of the points we have here is that secrecy is frequently behind marital breakdowns, which is surprising to me, or I guess would have been surprising to me until it was so easy to buy an iPhone by getting an Apple card at 0% to make it better to buy the iPhone. And now they make it so easy to charge everything on the Apple card. You can't connect it to any of the like aggregator softwares. So there are months where I put like a hotel room on the Apple card or something just because it was so easy. And then y'all will be like, why is your Apple card so high this month? Like, it's that hotel we stayed in.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like the first time, and I use it for gifts.
Sure.
So that Danielle can't see exactly what I spend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like now it makes a little bit more sense that you could hide things like that.
Yeah, and I think there's a time and a place. We'll obviously get into a lot of this for secrecy makes it sound so nefarious, but like when you're doing it to buy a gift for your wife and you don't want her to see what it is, like there's a time and a place for a little bit maybe more discretionary spending for each spouse. But in general, we at Stonecrop, we always advocate for in marriage for the husband and wife to have joint accounts on everything and combined finances, and not always having just separate accounts where he handles this stuff, she handles this stuff, and then they can do kind of whatever they want in their accounts. We would always encourage people to have combined accounts and make sure that there's full transparency in everything you're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, there's the financial secrecy, or potentially you could, if you wanted to even make it more strongly worded, financial infidelity could frequently be a contributing factor towards marital breakdowns. And there's another study that says spouses report that disagreements about money last longer, recur, and have greater relational significance than other topics, which again is, it does make sense, but oftentimes when we think about marital issues, we kind of jump right to the big ones like adultery or things like that. But your financial life is an extraordinarily important part of your marital unity, and that's what we want to talk about today is how can you build marital unity financially?
Yeah. I think along with a lot of other things, it typically starts with communication.
Yeah, and just a caveat to start, there is often, and we would even potentially encourage this too, one spouse that maybe is more financially, not even just literate, but more I don't even want to say responsible, but they're more on top
Interested.
of more interested and more on top of the financial aspects of marriage. That's not to say that the other spouse should not be involved at all. We're going to talk about how to build unity in that situation as well. But this isn't necessarily that each spouse should have equal interests and like if you just couldn't care less about the and you trust your spouse completely, that is okay. That's a good thing. But when you start seeing there's no trust, that's the issue that we're really going to be trying to avoid in these conversations. But it is okay if one of you in the relationship is a little bit more on top of the financial situation than the other one. Mm-hmm. That is an okay dynamic to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not. I think deep down the root is, I mentioned in the cold opening, it's beyond the money itself. There's I think trust is probably the biggest issue here that is the root cause of all these issues in marriage. So
I wonder if any other part of it could potentially be greed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you're spending money on that, I get to spend money on this.
Sure.
Or like a fairness, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I think, it's important once you get married, you look at your whole financial life as a single unit now. You're not two independent operating units anymore. You are now a single entity working together for your goals. At least that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these issues stem from marriages that never really did that and continue to operate independent of each other. So some common dynamics in the marriage is, I was thinking about this one, that oftentimes you can have somebody that's naturally a saver and somebody that's naturally a spender, and that they end up getting married. And you maybe don't know that until you get married. Like, you can talk about these things endlessly, but until you're actually sharing the accounts and seeing the habits of the other person, you might not even realize the extent of it. Just like a lot of things in marriage, when you're dating and engaged, you get to know that person as much as you possibly can, but you still you can't really know the full extent of what it's like to live with that person until you get married and you're living together every single day and you watch them brush their teeth and take showers. And I think it's funny when people get married and they start getting annoyed with like little things, like the way he brushes his teeth is just so gross to me, you know, like it's so funny.
Over under on the toilet paper.
Right. It's like little silly things that just bother you about your spouse. I don't know why that tends to happen for a lot of people, if not everybody. Like there's just little things, but money's another one. Like you don't totally know their habits until you guys are in this together. So there can be that spending. One of the spouses tends to spend more money and the other one tends to be more frugal and wants to save the money, and that can create some conflict. It's
funny. I feel like me and my wife don't have the spender-saver dynamic. We both like to spend. Mm-hmm. It's just what we spend on. She loves experiences. I like to enjoy things.
Yeah.
So we have to curb that a little bit.
Totally.
And make sure that we save enough for things that are more important.
Yeah. I'm like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde because I love saving. Like I'm really hyper fixated on our savings rate and want to make sure that that's a really healthy number. But then if spontaneously we see a restaurant that we wanting to try and we're just out anyways, like, yeah, let's go out to dinner tonight. Like that sounds great. So I have to fight this internal battle in myself of like the guy that wants to save money and the guy that wants to just enjoy his life too. So that's an internal battle. And you know, sometimes my wife and I have these conversations where I'm like, we really need to save more. And she's like, maybe we shouldn't go out to eat as much as you know, I'm like, yeah, you might be right. So, yeah, I think the way that you deal with this, if this happens to be your dynamic, you need to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And how can you talk about that difference without making the other person feel shamed? I think the saver might feel like they're the better person. Exactly. And so it could be easier to be like, you shouldn't spend as much money. But I think the spender has an equal opportunity to say, well, I think you're being a bit of a miser here. And I think you're not enjoying your life at all. And we're
Get
not
your stinginess out of here.
Right. So I think both bring something healthy to the table that ultimately this isn't a reason to be concerned. It's actually a reason to see the balance that God's brought into your marriage that can actually help you guys can help each other. You can help the spender be a little bit more of a saver. And the spender can help the saver enjoy life a little bit more too. Like this dynamic can actually help you in your marriage, I think.
And if you're both spenders, just work on it.
You're in trouble. Yeah. So yeah, I think absolutely that both roles can have a place in a unified financial plan. I think it's a question to talk about, and I absolutely think it can.
Yeah. And the other thing that I battle is I also love investing and watching that go up, sometimes to the detriment of, oh, where's our emergency fund? Oh, it's all in funds. That's another one where you got to come up with a plan, whereas the one spouse might be, well, that's our emergency fund. It should be conservative. And yeah.
Logan, this is like one of our first steps in our path to prosper. You should not have your emergency fund invested.
Most of it isn't.
Okay. All right. Well, don't do what Logan does. Do as we say, not as we do. There's also potential, like this is where it gets more some of the issues at play, where there's egos and some controlling behavior and some financial power, like especially in a dynamic where one spouse earns, almost always one spouse is going to earn the majority of the income unless you guys genuinely have the exact same salary. If you both work, or if only one spouse works and the other one doesn't, there is the potential for that person to feel like they have more of a say in the financial life, and that should not be the case. Whether you have one spouse that's working and one spouse that's not, or you both are working and one's making more than the other, you both have equal say in the ultimate dynamic of the relationship and the financial life, and it should be a regular part of your conversations. Again, one person can be more interested in kind of overseeing all of it, but I think it should always be a joint team effort.
Yeah, that's actually also where we differ a little bit. I just talked about investing. All of that basically has been delegated to me, and I delegate like all the expense stuff and detail stuff to my wife.
And that is what I'm saying. I'm not saying like Danielle you have to run every trade by her, right? Like, hey, do you think could I buy this today? Like that would be also probably an unhealthy dynamic. But with the full support of the spouse that like, I trust you completely with our investments. You do what you got to do.
But it's also not always easy because sometimes I see the grocery bill and I'm like, how is the grocery bill that high now?
Right.
And I have to realize she knows what's best. Like she sees the prices.
Yeah.
I got to trust her to make sure that she's not overspending and also providing what we need. Yeah.
And we'll get to budgeting later, but I think this is where budgeting is helpful to at least get on the same page so that if you've delegated this to your wife, like, hey, you're going to oversee our expenses and our spending. And that's how we do it too. My wife does all the grocery shopping and she knows that we've worked it out ahead of time. I look at our cash flow always and there's a set amount that we've set aside for groceries every week. And now she has complete full reign to do whatever she wants within that budget and to keep an eye on that to make sure she's kind of staying within those means. So if you have that dynamic where one person takes that, one person takes that, I think still conversations so that you're on the same page ahead of it is what's important there. So yeah, if you're the one that manages the money, don't be controlling. Don't make it as a point of like, I'm going to lord this over the other person.
Right.
Treat your spouse with respect and make them a part of it if and when they choose.
Yeah. Yep.
There's the temptation, again, to hide purchases or run separate secret accounts where you don't want that unless it's for a good reason and you want to buy your spouse something nice and you don't want them to see it for a brief period of time. But I still think full transparency overall is the way to go.
So no running your sports gambling through a separate account?
Right. Yeah. We actually do, like at least in our marriage, we do like a monthly allowance, I suppose you could call it. Like it's not even all that much, but like I just put a certain amount of money into each of our separate accounts. We can both see all of it still, but this account can just grow. You can just let that stuff grow over time, or you can spend it each month on whatever you want. So that we still have our normal cash flow, like what we spend on a month-to-month basis, but we each also have discretionary funding that's growing in our own separate accounts. They're not even, like they're joint accounts. We can see them all, but that's how we do it.
It's a good idea. I'm trying to think of what we would. I feel like everything that Danielle runs by me, I'm just a sucker, and I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And again, it's not much, and we still put stuff in our normal cash flow that's like, yeah, you can go ahead and get what you need. But this was strictly set up like you can get whatever you want legitimately. Like if you need something that you just really wanted because you thought it'd be cool and it serves no functional purpose, you've got your discretionary money to do it. Go for it. If she bought something ridiculous for like $200 in our normal cash flow, I might be like, did we need to do that? That didn't seem appropriate. But if you've got the cash in your discretionary fund, you do whatever you want to do.
Today, I think, is the start of Prime Day. Oh. So Danielle texted me earlier, and she found patio furniture. And as I mentioned before, neither of us were like, oh, wait, should we save that money? I was just like, that looks awesome. Go for it.
Yeah. It's kind of fun, too. Yeah. I mean, you need patio furniture.
Yeah.
It's going to help you host and be generous and have people over and
spend more money.
Yeah. But on other people.
Yeah.
I talked about this a little bit, but like you each come into marriage with your own financial history. So there could be some baggage or money experiences that you carry with you. Like if you grew up in an environment where your parents didn't have much money and they were like, you couldn't spend any money ever as a kid. You never went on vacations. You never went out to eat. It could go one of two ways when you become an adult and you start making your own money. Either you are like, finally, I have money and I'm gonna enjoy my life for once. I didn't get to do this growing up. Or you're just gonna keep that habit going. You're like, I cannot spend money. My parents never could spend money and I can't either because you never know. So you each come into your marriage with those dynamics too. And that could create potential conflict if it's a really personal thing where you just feel like, I can't spend any money. And then your spouse is like, this is my money. I can do whatever I want with it. And this is what I've been doing since I've been an adult. And that could certainly create conflict.
I was talking to somebody the other day who they probably have $8-9 million, and I can't remember how old, 60 maybe. And she was saying, "Oh, I grew up poor, and in my head, I've always been poor, so I always get nervous taking money out." And it's just an incredible perspective when you're talking to somebody and you see their account statement. So yeah, it's sometimes that history is hard to get over.
Yeah. or even just like poor money decisions that you have dealt with, or you ended up in a lot of debt. Maybe it's student loan debt, or you bought a car and it was a lemon, but you were $30,000 in debt over it, and you were just like, I never want to do this again. And then your spouse comes along and doesn't have that same thing, and time comes to buy a car, and you're like, yeah, let's finance this thing for let's buy a $30,000 car, and your spouse is like, no, like PTSD all over again. So without having those open conversations, you might not discover that until the time comes, and it'd be good to get ahead of that.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, this is your spouse. This is the person you vowed to love and marry. So treating them with that same level of love in these conversations, and having understanding and sympathy when they're coming from a different situation than you are is an important aspect to remain humble and have these conversations with grace for the other person.
And the hard part for me is realizing I'm not always right.
Yeah. Clearly, if your emergency fund's in your investment portfolio.
Just some of it.
Okay, fine. So a few habits that we would encourage you to potentially consider weaving into your life to build unity would be, like I mentioned earlier, some kind of budget. A lot of people don't like budgeting. I don't like budgeting, but I like knowing what's going on. So I've personally moved away from traditional budgeting, and I do more what I call cash flow management, where I just make sure I'm not spending more than I'm making, and I just keep track of all of it that way. I use an old school Excel spreadsheet and just keep track of everything and make sure. But I never liked, like, okay, let's set aside $15 for Starbucks. Let's set aside $10 for X, Y, and Z. Like breaking it down so granularly on a monthly basis. Like some months we don't need any of that stuff and we need this. And so I'd rather just have a much broader budget that gives us the flexibility to spend on what we need on any given month than having a really strict budget line item for each individual category.
Yeah, I like creating a budget. I'm not always good at sticking to it.
Yeah.
But I will say probably the best 6 months we ever had at saving was when we followed the Dave Ramsey envelope method.
Really?
Because we stuck to it well.
Yeah.
But then after a little while we stopped.
For those that might not know, explain the Dave Ramsey envelope method.
Each budget item gets an envelope with cash in it. Once that cash is gone, you're done for the month.
Yeah. That does make it challenging when you whip out a credit card, because that thing can keep going for a while.
Yeah.
You have limits on it, but you can, what's an extra few dollars there? What's
Right.
an extra few $100 there? You know, it can get slippery quick. So it's definitely I don't think this is necessarily a way to live your life forever. Although I do think Dave Ramsey does. Like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he
absolutely.
still does it with his wife.
Yep.
And I think he's worth over $1 billion. So it works for him, clearly, and he can really help people get out of debt and start building healthier financial habits. But it might just be like you guys, seems like you did, more of a temporary thing to sort of just kickstart your...
Yeah. Basically, yeah, we wanted to try the Dave Ramsey method, and it went okay for a while, but then we also like taking advantage of credit card points and stuff like that, so.
Love it. Love that credit card debt. Dave Ramsey, on one of his books, like, it's just a picture of him with scissors cutting a credit card in half. He is very anti-credit card. We're a little bit more understanding, as long as you pay off that balance every month.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I pay mine off like daily because I don't like seeing that balance grow. So yeah, when you're having these conversations, when you're creating a budget together, be more like this is our budget. This is not my budget and your budget. This is us working it together. So we are working towards shared goals. I think that's important. Talking about what are we even trying to do with our money? Do we have short-term goals that we want? Like we need a new roof. We need a whatever. Short-term, mid-term, like, yeah, it would be nice to replace our deck someday. Or more long-term goals, like someday I would really like to buy a property on some land. So have those conversations too, and start making a plan to figure out how to fund it. It's not, the money's probably not just going to fall out of the sky. So having a budget to set aside different funds for different things will really help you. We use go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, prioritize kind of based on what the two of you value. So like our top line item of our budget is tithing, giving.
Yeah.
Charitable giving. And then it's kind of necessities, kids' education, food, and then you get into kind of the more fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we use like sinking funds to set up. I don't have a separate savings account for every single goal, but I have one savings account that just contains all of our sinking funds that I track on a spreadsheet of the balances left in individual funds. So we've got one for the kids that we can spend money on the kids out of. But we put money into that sinking fund every single month, and then if we need clothes for the kids or whatever, we take it out of that and I adjust the balance on it. And so that's where we keep our spouse, me and my wife, our discretionary funds are in there. Like annual. This is one of the ones that I hate is annual fees. Like I love monthly fees because I know it's coming every single month, but then I'm never prepared for the annual fees. So I started making that a sinking fund, and I just annualized how much is this per month. If I have to pay it once a year, how much is it per month? And I'm just going to put that into a savings account so that when the time comes, I can just pull it out of that sinking fund, and I'm not suddenly hit with in December a $300 bill that I wasn't prepared for. I was saving that the whole time.
You're a lot more organized than we are.
It's more. I should say I'm like OCD about it. So I am by no means an expert at this. I'm a little obsessive about it because I don't like those fees creeping up on me. I don't like Christmas creeping up on me. So Christmas is one of our sinking funds, and we put aside money every single month into a Christmas fund so that when December comes around, I'm not hit with that $300 annual fee, and then also I got to buy Christmas gifts for everybody with what money? So I've got a Christmas fund.
Yeah, I'm more like, I think there was a text the other day, how'd the credit card balance get so high? Oh, I forgot, the car insurance is charged this month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, the tip for you, maybe set up some sinking funds.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing. I love having an account already that I can pull it. It's like having an escrow account that I can just get ready to pull money out of when I need it.
But then I can't invest as much.
This is true. Make your investment account a sinking fund. Anyway, so have these conversations. Use a budgeting tool. I know a lot of people love You Need a Budget. YNAB. Every Dollar is Dave Ramsey's. Mint has gone away. That's no longer. That was a really popular one for a while.
We provide e-money.
We do. Yeah, if you are a client of ours, you have access to one for free by being a client of Stonecrop. So come on board. Or you could do it what I do and do it the old school way, and I just type in every expense on a spreadsheet, and I keep track of it that way.
Like a psychopath.
Well, works for me. Budget together. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to be a psychopath about it, but you can at least have the conversation and open up that.
How often do you guys budget or like converse about the budget?
It's an ongoing conversation.
Because we don't do it enough.
Yeah.
It's like every January I'm like, oh, what's the budget this year?
Yeah. I'm the one that I definitely create it and I put it all together, and then we just have conversations about it. Like a little while ago, she was like, I'm having a really hard time staying in that grocery budget. Like the food is just getting more expensive, inflation. And we also just have really begun to prioritize like just better quality food, which is a lot more expensive. And so we've had to expand the grocery budget. And so I was like, sure. So I moved some things around and I expanded the grocery budget a little bit so that she could spend a little bit more there and spend more on the food that she felt like she wanted to feed our family, which I appreciate, but it is more expensive. So
we just did like a quarter cow, maybe.
Ooh.
It's a big fee up front, but now we've got a full freezer.
That's amazing. Where'd you get it?
We've got a little black market Amish guy.
Right, that's right. That's amazing. I don't think I have a freezer big enough for it. Do you have like a separate like solo freezer.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's
the
nice.
deep freezer. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. How long do you anticipate that lasting?
Danielle doesn't love cooking red meat, so
Oh,
a long time.
Yeah. That's for those late nights when you come home after a networking event and I'm having some steak right now.
Yep.
I don't know.
Or just weekends when I have more time to cook.
Yeah. You have a grill, right? Like a smoker?
Smoker. Just got the Blackstone.
Oh.
So, yeah. Got some.
Let it rip on the weekends there.
Yep.
Nice cold Miller Lite by your side.
Not so much.
Oh. All
nice thick IPA.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That sounds really good. I could go for that right now.
Yeah, the thick IPA. Yeah.
No. I meant the steak on the grill.
And the girly Miller Lite.
Whatever. All right. Budgeting. I think a monthly financial check-in, so this is kind of separate from the budget, but just you can review how the last month went and look ahead to what is coming up. One of the things, we're not very good at this, but we try to be, is anticipating expenses that are not regular and like not monthly expenses, but just come up like, oh boy, we need to, I don't have an example off the top of my head, like a water filter. Like we need to replace that like every 3 months or something, I think. And it sneaks up and it's like, we need a new water filter this month. And it's okay. We weren't, now I know. So that's one of the things we try to do, but we're not very good at that.
As your kids start getting into sports, that's another one that'll sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you need cleats and a jersey and yeah.
I know. I mean, even just our kids at their age, it's like every month it's like he's outgrown his pants again.
Yep.
So we needs new pants. And I'm like, is this really how everybody operates with kids, that you just continue to buy clothes every month because their kids keep growing until they turn like 18 or something?
Can't you just turn the pants into shorts?
I could. That's a good idea. I might have to do that. So yeah, have like a money date where you can not to argue, but just open the conversation, judgment-free zone, and just be open and honest about how you guys are doing. And I think part of this conversation, actually, this is the next one, is an annual net worth review. I've been trying to do this where sometimes it feels like we're not making progress because maybe the emergency fund isn't as large as we want it to be. But meanwhile, like you're contributing to your 401k that whole year and your net worth, and you've been paying off some debts maybe this whole year. Your net worth is, even though you maybe had some unexpected expenses, we had to go to the emergency room this year. We're having another baby, which costs money. Looking at the net worth.
Oh boy, does it.
Yeah.
The baby.
Yeah. Looking at the net worth and seeing that we're actually better than we were a year ago, even though we've had some unexpected expenses. It could be better, if we didn't have those things come up, but those things happen. And finding some way to be encouraged by your financial situation, even if things didn't go according to your plan, because they probably won't go according to your plan as often as you want them to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being flexible there.
Yeah. Do you guys do anything like that? Any sort of regular check-ins and reviews or anything like that?
No, I mean, I probably should. I just feel like Danielle admittedly I don't really understand that. Logan understands it, but I should probably make her understand it a little bit more.
Yeah. As we were putting this together, we were kind of having the conversation that we are not experts in doing this. This, as we were kind of preparing this episode, is more of a, this is fairly good wisdom that we could grow in ourselves a lot.
That we need to practice too.
Yeah. I think the annual review is helpful for those long-term goals, seeing how we're doing with potentially preparing for something that we want to do 5-10 years down the road.
I also wonder if it's harder for us, like in my head, I'm like, I'm a financial advisor, I got this, whereas other people use people like us, and we almost force them to have that meeting with each other.
That's true.
And us. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a struggle for sure. But I think even for us, like, I don't know if I update my financial plan somewhat regularly, or at least I try to. I don't know if you do that, but we should.
Yeah, but then I don't update Danielle on it.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. Yeah, we talked about, as a staff, potentially like having another financial advising firm, like working together where we each provide financial plans for the other employees of the other firm so that it's like a little bit less, I don't know what the word is, like not biased, but just having an outside looking at your own financial picture and vice versa can be helpful, because even though we're financial advisors and we work with other people's finances every single day, it's sometimes strangely difficult to apply it to your own life. I don't exactly know why that is, but
I don't want anybody telling me my emergency fund's too small.
I already did. Or I told you, at least I told you that it's not in the right spot. Yeah, I don't know. We should do that.
Yeah.
So in annual check-ins, annual reviews, celebrate the progress. You're probably not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exactly the way you want it to. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's better than you thought it was. But celebrate that no matter what.
Yeah.
And even if it's worse, like even if you had a catastrophic year where you didn't make as much or you lost your job and you had huge expenses pile up on you, like the Lord will still provide. And if you're faithful to Him and you continue to just honor Him with whatever it is that you have, you can trust that He still has you no matter what. But this is one of the reasons why we encourage financial planning, is so that you can prepare for the catastrophes and be a little bit better off for it. If you have debt, I think strategizing your debts together can be helpful. Looking at how you got where you are, maybe how you want to avoid that in the future, but also how do we pay this off effectively.
Did you guys do snowball or avalanche?
Not really. I've started to do some snowballing here and there, but then every time I look at the interest rates that I have on it, I'm like, the financial advisor in me is like, this money would be better off invested than paying off this debt, because I have some decent interest rates that I'm working with. So yeah, I'm not like a Dave Ramsey student in that regard. I'm kind of okay with making the minimum payments on some lower interest debts.
Yeah. We were early in our marriage following Dave Ramsey relatively closely. I never did cut my credit cards, but we did use the snowball method early on.
It definitely works. Especially if you have at least one lowish balance debt that you can pay off fairly quickly by throwing some extra cash flow at it. And then you see that minimum payment go away. You get that quick win and it feels good. And it's probably like an encouraging thing to help you keep going.
Yep.
So yeah, I think agreeing on when the time comes, your car is going to die, so you're going to need to buy a new car at some point. Agree ahead of time on how you're going to finance that.
We had to do that recently.
So did we.
And we talked about it beforehand. It's like, all right, we're going to walk into this dealership. We've got to like commit to not going above this number in both price and amount of debt we're going to take on and all that. So definitely something good to align on beforehand.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we did the same thing. We bought a car a few months ago, and it was neither of us had a car payment, which was really nice. So it was a blow to my I don't know if ego is the right word, but I was like, I don't have the cash to pay for all this up front, so I'm gonna have to finance it. And but I was really strict with my rules for myself, and told my wife that we're not gonna finance this for more than 3 years. We're gonna be really strict on that, and that's how we're going to do it. And,
you're a better man than me.
Well, it just, I don't know.
My strictness did get me a pretty good deal, though.
Good.
I stood up at the dealership, got ready to walk out, and they came running back out, and they were like, "Oh, we got something else."
Sweet. There you go. Same thing with if you haven't bought a house. If you're going to buy a house, make sure you're well aware of your price range, budget, how much you can afford. That's a little easier than a car in the sense that car salesmen are going to encourage lengthening the term of your loan so that you have lower monthly payments. And it's going to become really attractive when you see that monthly payment go down, 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 down. Meanwhile, you're extending your loan 5, 6, 7 years down the road.
Paying more interest.
Yeah, you can be tempted to do that. Whereas with houses, it's pretty typical 30 years, maybe 15 if you feel like you can swing it. But you can't just keep extending that loan 40, 50, 60 years.
I saw a billboard the other day for a 40-year mortgage.
Really?
Yeah.
They're starting to do that?
Apparently.
That's not good. It's 08 all over again. So So yeah,
That's not a financial prediction.
no, it's not. Yeah. So it makes it a little bit, in that sense, let's go with the standard 30-year mortgage. You can have a little bit more clarity on how much can I afford that monthly payment, as opposed, that's not the right attitude to have when you're buying a car, because the salesman will try to just increase the length of that term. See, you can afford that payment now. I wouldn't encourage that, because if you get to year 7 and your car has died 2 years before that, that's not a great situation to be in. But if it's a brand new car, you can potentially make that work.
Stop judging me.
I'm not judging you. I'm trying to dispel my own opinions on the advice that I would give somebody else in that situation. And it's tempting, and I understand the temptation. And you need a car to get around. You need something safe. So like, I do understand why somebody would do that. But I would really encourage you to think long and hard. Is this car going to last me at least that long?
The last car I got, not this one that we just got, the truck that I bought, it was a term of 5 years, and I paid it off in 2.
Good. That's great. Yeah, I mean, you can take the longer loan, but pay it off aggressively still. Like,
yeah.
You don't, sometimes they increase the interest rate, I think, if you lengthen the term.
Probably.
But nevertheless.
Almost certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen the same advice with doing a 30-year mortgage. You can, if you're not willing to commit to a 15-year mortgage, well, you could still treat it like a 15-year mortgage and double up your payment if you had the cash flow to do it. You might pay a little bit more in interest than you would have gotten on a 15-year loan, but you're not committed to, you have to pay this huge amount every single month for 15 years, because
or lose your house
is still a long time.
Yeah.
So we're not Dave Ramsey. We would probably encourage a 30-year loan if cash flow would potentially be an issue there.
Unless you're Bill Gates.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave Ramsey, we're talking about him a lot, but yeah, I think his strict rules on house buying is unrealistic in this market.
I think we're planning on doing a Dave Ramsey episode at some point.
Yeah.
What we agree with, what we don't, so.
Yeah, and again, we overall, like, I think he's a great entrance point into just learning, getting more financially literate and getting out of debt. He's fantastic at that. So certainly appreciate a lot of what he's done.
Yep.
Just don't always agree with his advice. We've talked about this already, but just having that financial transparency and accountability, no hidden accounts, no undisclosed debts that you're building without the other person knowing. Just that full disclosure continues to build the trust in your marriage.
Even if you like the sports gambling.
Yeah.
It's just $2 bets.
Right. Consider a third party, whether that's a financial advisor or even like your pastor or somebody that you would consider a mentor. Like, have them check in with you too and make sure are you guys still on the same page here? I think that's an important thing to potentially have in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the last one would be more kind of a fun thing, is giving and serving together, making those decisions together. And I think you've talked about ways that you give together, like you and Danielle make these decisions on where to give outside of maybe your traditional just tithing to your church.
Yeah, we did a donor advised fund for that purpose. And a lot of times if you get a bonus or something and you don't know exactly where you want to give at that point, you just throw it in the donor advised fund. I think I can confidently say that neither of us have ever given to something without talking to the other person first. And we're pretty aligned on the types of organizations and causes and everything to give to. But I mean, it all stemmed from kind of an original conversation. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And as your kids get older too, like getting your kids involved and being charitably minded, like telling them, hey, we're going to give you $100 that you can give to whatever organization you want or whatever, help them to start thinking charitably and getting them involved too.
Yeah. Right now, all it is you made $2.50 in chore money this week. You're giving a quarter to church.
There you go. That's good too. So these conversations will strengthen your unity as well because you're joyfully giving together, and it's not just one person. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Like it seems like kind of a funny concept. Like giving secretly for like, I don't want my spouse to know that I'm giving to this organization. I can't imagine that would be a huge issue, but I guess it could potentially be if you're not unified in a lot of ways. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine scenarios in which it would. I can't imagine in my relationship where it would.
Right. So yeah, I think that plays into your purpose. Those long-term goals, even your generosity helps fuel. Like our purpose in our marriage is to serve and build the kingdom and to do X, Y, and Z. So the way that we give our money can cultivate that shared purpose. We have a few like biblical foundations. Do you want to read 1 Timothy 5:8?
Yeah.
We've read this a lot on that.
So yeah, if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever.
Yeah. So money is a serious issue that that's such strong language that if you don't provide for your family, that you're worse than an unbeliever. So having financial responsibility and being on the same page is part of the love that you have for your family. Ecclesiastes 4 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. So one of the reasons God gives you a spouse is because 2 are better than 1. And you can have that shared, when one falls, the other one can be there to pick him up. And that's one of the reasons why God gives us marriage.
As a spender, one of the other ones I like is another one from 1 Timothy, but it's 1 Timothy 6:17. As for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy.
There you go.
Yeah. I just like enjoying my things.
And that's, we've talked about that too. Like, that is okay. I think it's one of the reasons God blesses us with money. He wants us to be generous. He wants us to be responsible. But he allows us to enjoy the whatever he's blessed us with as well. That is not wrong. Amos 3:3 says, do 2 walk together unless they have agreed to do so? I think, again, being on the same page and walking together so that you're not walking in separate paths. Proverbs 22, we've read, the borrower was a slave to the lender. Everybody's probably familiar with that verse. Being on the same page and not being in excessive debt.
Because you can certainly feel that weight.
Yeah, and you can also be in like relational debt with your spouse. And there could, when things start to potentially fracture or there's continual erosion of trust, one person could potentially have the other person in debt, so to speak, where the other person feels maybe it's, again, the spender-saver dynamic, and the spender is in the debt of the saver because the saver's like, I can't believe you're continuing to do this and you're continuing to spend the money that we've agreed upon to save when we really never did agree upon it. I just had this decision. And there can be this almost relational debt that is hindering your relationship. And that is not a healthy dynamic to have in your marriage.
Right.
Matthew 6:21, we've read this a lot too, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This conversation, money reveals the heart. So being on the same page with your spouse is an important part of that.
And that one helps me curb my spending a little bit.
There you go. All right. So let's assume, as we kind of wrap up, that there has been conflict in a marriage on this particular issue. How do we, it's certainly not too late. And if, I was thinking about this too. If money really is the root of the issue, let's say you're heading towards divorce. Well, I've got some bad news. Divorces are really, really expensive. And so if that is the issue, which again, it's probably not. The root is more of a trust issue. But if you're really, really concerned about the way that money is handled in your marriage, well, a divorce is not going to really help that too much.
You're going to lose a lot.
Yeah. Not that
especially in lawyers' fees.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not that that's the reason to not get divorced. There's a lot of other more compelling reasons to not get divorced why you shouldn't do it. But if that is what your concern is, well, this isn't going to help.
Right.
So when money arguments happen, which they will, I think it's important to, like we were saying earlier, practice actively listening, not letting your emotions rise to the point where you can't even have a rational conversation because you're not hearing the other person and you're just like, you need to get your words in and you need to shoot off whatever it is that you're trying to put the other person down with.
Yeah. If it does start to get more emotional, hit a pause button, take a break, have fun doing something else, and then return later.
I've even heard somebody encourage, we've never done this, but like he used the example of like have a Dunkin' Donuts date where you go to a public place to have the money conversation because you guys literally can't do it without arguing. And if you're going to do it in the privacy of your home, you're going to be more compelled to get more inflammatory because there's nobody else watching. And so if you do it in a public place, you might find yourself more restrained and able to control your emotions a little bit better because there's people all around and you don't want to be having an inflammatory conversation. But you might be able to have a little bit more of a rational conversation if you're forced to be more controlled with it.
And the sweet donuts will make you happier.
Always. Those donuts are nasty, though.
What's your favorite donut?
I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have Krispy Kreme than Dunkin'.
Oh, 100%.
Every time I've had a Dunkin' Donut, it tastes like it's been there for like 2 days.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But I'm a big donut guy, so I'll still eat it. Any other tips on conflict resolution, like non-blaming language? I think a lot of people default to like, you always do this. And
oh, your fault.
Yeah, not.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Really try hard. And again, I think we've all probably been in these situations where you can't help but be brought back to a conversation you had 2 years ago or a year ago, and it just feels like, here it is again, and you start throwing old things into the mix. That's not healthy at all. Try to keep it focused on whatever that particular issue is in that moment and not bringing up ancient history.
Maybe ask more questions than cast dispersions or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be willing to ask for forgiveness. I mean, arguments happen because you think you're right all the time. Like if everybody was convinced they were wrong, arguments probably wouldn't happen. But so it can be hard to ask for forgiveness when you feel you're right. But chances are you're not as right as you think you are. And you can even be right in the wrong way by being extremely, you can be a bully about it, and that's not healthy either. So be willing to ask for forgiveness. Be willing to be the first one to ask for forgiveness and start the process of reconciliation. And rebuild your trust with small, consistent acts of love and affection for your spouse. When there's a breach, what are some things we can do to bring things back?
Get rid of anything that doesn't have full visibility.
Mm-hmm. Again, maybe working with a third party to help work through some of these issues. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in marriage counseling or even just a financial advisor. We're not marriage counselors, but we can help with the transparency piece and just a third party getting kind of neutrality and neutral eyes on the situation.
Yeah, because, I mean, we'll come at it not even in a, you shouldn't spend that much just because, but you shouldn't spend that much because you can't afford it.
Right. And then, recommit to a shared vision for what you have for your financial life.
Yeah.
So, this takes time. If you're in a spot in your marriage that's not where you want it to be, you might not get to a place of utter unity and perfection tomorrow. You probably won't, but anything worth doing is going to take some time and some effort, and we think there's no better time to start than today in rebuilding that.
And you can be poor or rich and not be in a good spot.
100%. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talk to people all the time that are very well off financially, and you can still sometimes sense, even in calls with clients, that there's some disunity there.
Yeah.
And there's bickering, or you can feel it. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can have complete unity and be almost broke, and that's just where maybe the Lord has you in this season, and that's okay. I think unity is more important than being really wealthy and being disunified with your spouse.
Definitely.
Be willing to revisit roles and responsibilities as life changes. You maybe have more kids, or your kids enter into new seasons of life, college, they get married, all these things. And just always have your door open for more conversations with your spouse about it. Don't let it be the spouse comes in the door and says, hey, we should sit down and talk about our finances, and you just avoid that. Don't be willing to always have the conversation. So ask your spouse or yourself, what's one financial fear that I have about us? And let's make that part of the next money date we have, where we can address this together and move forward.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Any other closing encouragements?
Work on that budget together.
Okay.
Make sure that you're aligned on the budget, that neither of you are missing things that you feel like you need, or just aren't getting enough enjoyment, or just feel like the other's too stingy or anything like that.
Yeah. Money doesn't have to destroy a marriage. With humility and some structure, it can unify, and we certainly encourage that. And if you'd like to talk to us about building a financial plan for you and your spouse, we would love to do that and help get you on the path towards financial health and unity in your marriage.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I think we're all good.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Plan to Prosper. Hope you tune in again. God bless.
God bless.
Investment advisory services offered through Stonecrop Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This material is intended for informational purposes only.